Hello, hello. Hi again. Welcome to Module 1, where we are talking about pacing yourself where you are right now so that all of this self coaching goodness can do amazing things for you and to help you transform in the ways that you truly desire. And in order to really get down to what you truly desire in your heart, it's so important to take a look at some of the concepts of what makes you who you are and digging into what makes your beautiful soul self or spirit or intuition tick. So, let's start out by taking a look at your three selves: your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, and your truest self or the thinker of your thoughts. So, in order to understand this, let's start out with perhaps the most familiar part to you, which is which is your conscious mind. So, your conscious mind is the part of your brain that you're usually most aware of. It's the part of your mind that you hang out with all day that processes what comes to your attention. And what's fascinating is that this part of your brain that you spend the most time with throughout the day is only responsible for about 5% of your cognitive functioning, which is crazy because your unconscious mind is responsible for the other 95%. And we don't even like hang out with her most of the time. You know what I mean? So, when we start to dig into this whole self coaching method, getting to know your unconscious mind more familiarly, that was the worst word ever, in a more familiar way, will really help you to work with your own inner workings of your mind so that when we focus on that soul self, when we focus on what you desire, we can get that big chunk of your mind, that 95% on board. So we can get that 95% working for you rather than just working in the background without us really thinking about it. So let's bounce over to talking more in depth about that 95%, and we'll keep talking about her, that 95%. Um so as we are talking about your unconscious mind, part of that 95% is doing things for you like brushing your teeth on autopilot, or you know that feeling how when you're driving home from work and you arrive at home without like really having a good record of how you got home. You just kind of were like a space cadet or in La La Land and you just are home and you didn't pay attention. That's because your unconscious mind has been working on your behalf to do those familiar tasks like brushing your teeth and driving home from work, a thing that you always do habitually without you having to focus your conscious mind on it. So your unconscious mind truly is so helpful. In fact, its prime directive is to keep you safe and to keep you functioning. And so it's doing all of these things and habitualizing all of your routines and activities to help you to conserve energy and stay safe and make sure that you are in prime condition to survive. And so that is like the prime directive of your unconscious mind, is to help you in that way. And those habits or behaviors of brushing your teeth or driving home is just like the tip of the unconscious mind iceberg, because there is so much more that your unconscious mind is doing for you, and we will continue to dive into what your unconscious mind is capable of and can do for you. But before we do that, let's circle back around to that third part of your three selves, which is your truest self, your soul self, the the part of you that can think about and hold the capacity to know about your conscious mind and your unconscious mind and to think about both of those things and to change them and to utilize these self-coaching techniques that we're about to learn. And so whether you call her your intuition or your spirit or your deepest self, that part of you, that soul self, is what is housing all of your like deepest hopes and dreams. Oftentimes the things that we don't get to talk about anymore or we don't tell other people about. And so when we when we get to look at this soul self, we get to really find out what it is that we desire, because it's so easy in this beautiful life of ours to let society or popular media or our parents or our friends dictate our own self view of ourselves. Imagine like that they're mirrors surrounding you showing you who you are, except that you are supposed to be showing you who you are, and finding out what you desire is supposed to be what is guiding you. And in this day and age, it's just so easy to let those other things or other people tell us who we're supposed to be. And it becomes even easier to just be that version of who we're supposed to be without checking in with ourselves. And so that is where we are starting that journey of self-coaching, is checking in with ourselves and where we are now. So, in order to help you do that for yourself, in order to help you begin to self coach, you are going to find a very handy workbook that's going to walk you through some of your current thoughts or your current perceptions of how you view self empowerment as a possibility for yourself, how you view disempowerment as a pattern for yourself, or to remember different times where you were really and deeply impacted by something that made you feel disempowered. And these reflective questions are going to get you to kind of comb back through your past so that you can really get a good sense of the foundation that makes you who you are right now, so that you are certain, like, where your square is that you're standing on right now. Like, people always use that phrase, right? Starting at square one or starting at square wherever you are. I used it in the orientation video, right? Like, imagine that that square that you're standing on now is a pillar, right? A column, okay? There's so much depth that makes that square what it is for you, that creates where you are now as a functioning human on planet Earth. And so this workbook is going to start help y- is going to start helping you to unearth all of those things that are making you who you are right now, so that once you have that frame of reference of your soul self, you can decide what you desire for it to be instead, so that you can decide that when you take your next step over into your beautiful future, what makes up the column of that next square, what makes up the foundation for that. So take a moment or an hour or however long it takes you to meditate on or reflect on these questions, and start to write down your answers in the workbook. You will see a link where you can open a Google Doc where you can click file, make a copy, and you can type all of your answers. Or if you're the type of person who wants a mug of tea and a pen, you can print out the PDF version of this workbook and get started on getting to know yourself as you are now a little bit better, so that when we dive into all of this juicy goodness of this self coaching method, you have a really great framework for where you are now. And you can begin to get to know yourself better, to get to know your soul self better, so that you can tap into those desires of who you desire to be, of that you that you've always been meant to be, of that you that is truly home for yourself, regardless of what your circumstances or people you know or things you've heard have told you. So that's where we're starting out. Grab a pen or click file, make a copy, and get started on your workbook. And I cannot wait to meet you in the next module where we can start going over what it takes for you to become who you desire, what it takes for you to become who you truly have always been meant to be. So get started. I love you so, so much. And after you reflect, I will see you in the next module. Have an amazing day or night or whenever you are watching this. I'm sending you so much love.